I'm happy to be with you today to moderate this session organized at the Doha Forum 2025. It is organized by Markaz Shaf Center for Future Studies, Crisis Analysis, Middle East and Africa. المركز دراسات المستقبلية وتحديد الأزمات والصراعات الشرق الأوسط وأفريقيا. I would like first of all to introduce the panelists of this session in a very quick way. So we have a hard line of time that we have to stop at 2 p.m. exact. So we will do our best to do this marathon with my colleagues and open the floor for any comments or questions at the end to come from you. Let me start by introducing my colleagues. I have, first of all, Dr. Mohamed Soufi. Dr. Mohamed is Director, International Center for Intelligent Studies and Consultations, a Mauritanian political scientist, former Director General Afro-Arab Institute, former Minister Delegate, League of Arab States, expert in media and conflict analysis and intercultural engagement. He has an experience more than 25 years shaping regional policy and strategic dialogue. Moving to Senator Rania Sedky. She is an Egyptian senator and business leader, General Manager of Shaf for Crisis Analysis and Future Studies, advocate for women's empowerment and sustainable development, drives initiatives in gender equality, entrepreneurship, and peace building. Member of Egyptian Council for Foreign Affairs. Moving to my colleague, Shoshana, right? Stewart. Shoshana is keen to preserve cultural heritage and support artisans. Created more than 25,000 jobs since 2006. She has a big achievement in craft brought to market for more than 17 million US dollars. And restored more than 150 historic buildings in Kabul and provided healthcare to nearly 200,000 people. And she has programs across Myanmar, Saudi Arabia, Syria, Jordan, and Palestine. Last but not least, my dear colleague, Jordan Morgan. Jordan is a director of programs, forward thinking, conflict resolution and diplomatic engagement expert. Extensive experience, he has an extensive experience across MENA and Gulf regions, specialized in mediation, negotiation, and facilitate at high level political and community dialogue. I welcome all of you in this session and looking forward to have exciting discussion about the topic of this session. I will briefly introduce Shaf. Shaf is founded in September 2021, Center for Future Studies and Crisis Analysis. It is an independent think tank and NGO dedicated to strategic research and crisis analysis across the Middle East and Africa. As an institutional hub, Shaf offers a variety of specialized training programs, workshops, and mentorship opportunities, empowering emerging leaders, strategic, and next generation of policy analysis with forward-looking perspective. Shaf also hosts high-level conferences, roundtable, and seminars, bringing together young talents and senior policymakers to explore strategic approaches and foster collaboration. Before we start our session, I will ask my colleague to put the video for 1 minute 30 seconds about Shaf.
في عالم تتقدم فيه الشعوب بالمعرفة وتتواصل عبر الثقافة، تعد الدبلوماسية الثقافية أحد أهم أدوات بناء الجسور بين الأمم، ومساراً فعالاً لتعزيز الحوار وتبادل الخبرات ودعم الاستقرار الدولي. وتأتي مصر في طليعة الدول التي وظفت قوتها الناعمة على مدار عقود طويلة، مستندة إلى رصيد حضاري فريد وإلى إرث ثقافي يمتد لآلاف السنين، جعلها مركزاً مؤثراً في محيطها الإقليمي والدولي، فمن الفنون والسينما والآداب.
خلاه وصل للعالمية حاجة مهمة جداً، إنه مصري في أحداثه وواقعه وفلسفي في وجوده،
إلى المؤسسات العلمية والثقافية الكبرى، ومن التعاون الإفريقي والعربي إلى برامج التبادل الثقافي مع دول العالم. تستمر مصر في تقديم نموذج متوازن للدبلوماسية الثقافية يعكس حضورها ويعزز صورتها ويرسخ مكانتها الدولية. إن الدبلوماسية الثقافية ليست مجرد نشاط مكمل، بل ركيزة أساسية للقوة الشاملة للدول.
Dr. Soufi, I will start with you. Is it working? Is the translation working? The Arabic, which channel, if possible? One. Raise the voice. Now, can we try this, please? Can we try it? You shouldn't have a problem because it's if it's in English, they will not translate, I believe. ماشي. كيف حيسمعوا؟ عندهم هم آلة ترجمة. بس عشان حضرتك تقدر تتابع بعد كده النقاش. Dr. Soufi, let me put this question. It's, the question is, how can culture diplomacy reshape perceptions and build trust in era of geopolitical fragmentations? سؤالي لحضرتك هو إزاي الثقافة الدبلوماسية أو الدبلوماسية الثقافية كان تقدر تغير المفاهيم وتبني الثقافات وتبني الثقة في وقت نشهد فيه حالة من القلق والتمزق السياسي على مستوى العالم جغرافيا.
شكرا جزيلا، تحية لكم ومساؤكم سعيد.
Thank you very much, and I would like to salute this public that is honoring us with their presence. I would like to salute you all. As you may know, cultural diplomacy is an integrated part of what we call soft diplomacy. And we're all fully aware that the issues occurring and the discordance is related to a lack of a unified language, a unified way of communicating, a unified way of sharing ideas in a way that is clear and non-provocative. And in this context, diplomatic culture becomes a way that allows people and civilizations and nations to better understand each other. Many countries are known for soft diplomacy, including the efforts between the United States and China, including after the ping pong game. This also applies to South Korea and Japan in the field of restoration and hospitality. And so many countries are known for soft diplomacy, but please allow me to give you a few examples related to soft diplomacy, cultural diplomacy, popular diplomacy even, which are all denominations that truly mean the same thing. When a military uprising happened in Niger, the economic group of West African countries happened. This state had to do a military intervention in Niamey, in the capital of Niger, and everybody was waiting for D-Day. And of course, we know that Nigeria is a large country. Its forces were going to intervene in the name of the Economic Working Group for West African States, and they took a diplomatic, if not cultural, initiative, relying on religion, relying on relationships, on Sufism as well, to build a movement of more than 40 experts from North Nigeria. The Nigerian president intervened, and this military intervention that was planned and that had the intention of reinstating Bouzon. However, military experts, political experts were expecting a crisis, a fully fledged crisis, and this was avoided. And so we're all following the Western Sahara crisis or issue, and it is one of the oldest issues in the African continent. This Western Sahara crisis started in 1947 when Spain left the area and Morocco took over. Since then, we've had a consistent conflict between Algeria supporting Polisario and the Moroccan kingdom, considering that these lands were an integrated part of their territory. This competition is relevant to us for the following reason. It is one of the main issues addressed by both Algeria and Morocco. Of course, these two countries have a long-standing rivalry, but there is something that I mentioned a while ago, which is the Sufism approach, the commercial approach, founded by Sheikh Ahmed Al-Tijani, who was born in the south of Algeria in Ain Madi. He moved to Morocco. He was buried in the city of Fas. And this man has millions of followers, tens of millions of followers in the African continent. Both Morocco and Algeria want to improve their relationships with African states. Algeria is now opening direct lines with Ain Madi to ensure visits to the area where Sheikh Ahmed Al-Tijani was born. They are opening direct traveling lines there to ensure that African pilgrims can visit that area. Sorry, I'm about to reach the end of the time allocated to me. I wanted to give you some examples. related to cultural diplomacy that occupies countries, but we need to think of it as an approach to ensure rapprochement between the people, to ensure understanding that does not exclude direct stakeholders. And here, let me give you an example. If we were to take into account the Egyptian position with regards to the Nahda Dam and the position of Ethiopia, of course, the Egyptian government and the Ethiopian governments are different stakeholders, but there is a number of intellectuals, scientists, academics, civil society members who are not stakeholders of these issues, but they need to make efforts to ensure a rapprochement between these countries over this deep conflict related to the governance of water. Of course, authorities in Ethiopia do not accept the opinions of the Egyptian government, and the Egyptian government naturally does not accept the opinion of the Ethiopian government. However, when it comes to communication among the people, among intellectuals, among indirectly concerned stakeholders, this issue that truly occupies and concerns all Ethiopian, Egyptian, and African intellectuals, then a solution can be found. Let's not forget that Egypt is one of the biggest demographic countries in Africa, but also globally. Ethiopia is also a big country because it is the capital of Africa, it's the capital of African diplomacy, and therefore the issue between these two countries is one of the biggest issues that cannot be solved via traditional diplomacy, but that can be solved via cultural diplomacy. Thank you for giving me the platform, and thank you for allowing me to share these examples. Thank you for sharing these thoughts with us. You will also be with us during this session. You will be responding to questions and making comments.
On what Soufi, and you have 1 minute to comment on him, if you have anything that you would like to share.
No, I can speak a little later. That's wonderful. I mean, I completely agree. There are things that cultural diplomacy can do that traditional diplomacy can't do.
Okay, thank you. Jordan, do you have anything to comment on that?
I was going to wait, but I've got a couple of comments on. I agree on many of the things that my co-panelists said, but one of the examples that really sticks out for me in cultural diplomacy was I want to take the audience back to the 1950s when the US State Department employed Louis Armstrong at a time of huge geopolitical tension and the risk of nuclear Armageddon during the Cold War to travel around the decolonizing countries to areas where the United States thought was a risk of communism, to share jazz music and to humanize the other side. And Louis Armstrong actually played outside the pyramids in Egypt. He played in Poland, where people had never heard jazz before, and people were literally weeping. And I share the example because later in 1987, when Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev were negotiating a nuclear arms reduction treaty, the INF treaty, which is a very famous nuclear reduction treaty, they employed David Brubeck, who again is a fantastic jazz player, and I hope that our sign guy might play the song Take 5 at the end of this panel session, because at a time when Russian and American negotiators were locked in talks with no progress, David Brubeck came out with his saxophone and played Take 5. And at a time of heightened tension, negotiators started tapping their feet, smiling at each other, and 2 days later, the talks were successful. And it was one of the landmark treaties that actually reduced the amount of nuclear weapons in Europe by almost 3,000 warheads. And today, I think we need to really learn from some of those examples, because the challenges I see are, monumental. World War III or nuclear Armageddon may be far off, but immediately we have the rise of the far right in Europe, growing Islamophobia. We have the breakdown of the international rules-based system, and the American policy now appears to be, in the words of Donald Trump, peace through strength. And peace through strength is essentially peace through domination, peace through coercion. And any peace treaty can't really succeed, because we have to learn from cultural diplomacy, and essentially cultural diplomacy is about recognizing the other and recognizing their fundamental humanity, and that's why we need this panel is important.
We'll get back to you later on during this session. And now I will move to Senator Rania. First of all, I would like to congratulate you for your recent appointment as a senator in the Egyptian Senate. So this is a huge responsibility, and based on your rich background, I'm sure that you will contribute to the people of Egypt and Africa and the Arab region, inshallah, in the coming years through your position.
Thank you so much for this introduction.
Senator Rania, I would like to raise a question to see what the role can Arab and the Egyptian culture narratives play in challenging stereo and promoting cooperation.
Actually, first of all,
you have 5 minutes
only
to do that. Yes.
This is not fair.
It's always
This
like
is not
that.
fair.
It's always like that.
Always, you see, this is that's what we are going to talk about. First of all, I welcome all the audience and the esteemed audiences here, and I'm so glad to be present here between you in this forum. Actually, I was astonished and amazed by the huge number and the organization. It's perfect, and it's really a great platform to express the topic of cultural diplomacy, where the political traditional diplomacy is usually rigid and not flexible, and ultimately it may fail to reach its goals. We have to count on the cultural diplomacy, which is the main pillar of the soft power in the coming stage of about what's going on in the region, especially the Middle East. Not only the Middle East, actually, also we can see the war in Ukraine and Russia and everywhere, actually, there is chaos and tension and stress all over the world that need to have a stand, and the collaboration and cooperation internationally between the governmental institutions of each country, and also from the private sector and NGOs to reach some meeting point to mingle and engage other and respect other. All these differences cannot be solved unless we have mutual respect and mutual understanding with beliefs and religion and culture. This is very important, actually. One of the great examples that Arab are doing is what we are in here now. We are around 6,000 persons from different cultures, different backgrounds, religion, speech, and language, and we are all under one umbrella, and we are talking. We can create conversation and one-to-one, or also listen to the perspective and vision of other nations. Some people, Dr. Amr, actually some people in Western countries still look for the maybe the Middle East not as it is actually on the ground. And when they come to visit these countries, they are shocked by what the stereotype they used to have in the prejudgment in their minds that they raised upon from the media, from the government, from the social media. The true thing is to go and see the friend, tell their family when they come here, and tell their friends, and so on, the spread of the word, and this make an exposure to diversity, which is looking at the point of how cultures can narrow the gaps and dismantle the differences between the nations, and the respect away from dominance, the dominance, Sameh, and it's very important. Did I finish the 5 minutes or not yet?
You still have.
Still,
I'm generous.
yes, yes. This is it's anti-woman or anti. This is what do you call it?
Please.
Yes. So actually, cultural diplomacy is a pillar of soft power which works as a bridge that crosses boundaries smoothly and easily, as it's not direct. It goes easygoing, indirect way that reach the soul and the emotions, not the mind. So we have to make more of these events, and I will give some little examples. For example, here in Qatar, the World Cup 2022, I can see the difference even in the infrastructure. The infrastructure of the country is very advanced, and it's ready to receive and host so many events like that, which give an impression and give an idea and a vision about the Gulf and Arab culture, to be transferred to the people and the guests to their countries when they go back. And this narrows the gap between our nations. No matter what our languages or our religions or our beliefs, we shouldn't judge by these criteria. We judge on what people can do. And all this cultural diplomacy, actually, it goes with the agenda of the Sustainable Development 2030, and then later on of the 2052. I think we are doing well as Arab countries, and the Egyptian Museum opening was a great example. It's not only to open a monument, museum. No, it gathered all the people and all the kings and presidents. Some of them, of course, came by themselves. And it was a great chance to show the world how the greatness of the Egyptian civilization, and this can attract people more to visit this country and reform the understanding and the perception, the misleading information that they have taken for us. Also the Saudi, the Riyadh season that they are taking, and all the progress they are doing, and the openness they start to cope with the fast-going technology. It's a great milestone that they took. Actually, I'm so proud of the region as a whole, and looking forward to have more and participate more in such events. Thank you so much.
I'm sure that with your presence, you will help a lot. You have touched, you have focused on two words that are very important, is the stereotype and the perception. And this is one of the things that we suffer a lot of, the misperception sometimes, and this is the role of the civil society and people who are working in the culture sectors, that they can close the gap between the people. Shoshana, I will direct a question to you, if possible, and you can talk to us about the role of the civil society. How the civil society organizations and cultural practitioners, partners, can help governments to create lasting impact on people. And
wonderful.
You have 5 minutes as well.
Perfect. Mia bil mia. I will stick to it. Thank you. I would like to build very much on what the previous two speakers said, what you said, Your Excellency, Senator Rania, about exposure and about seeing things. So when we talk about civil society, what do we actually mean? What is this, right? So I want to perhaps show a little bit about what that looks like for us. This is Seema. She is a weaver from Afghanistan, from Bamiyan in the central mountains of Afghanistan. She learned to weave from her mother and her grandmother before that. She makes this. Oh, that's the reaction we want. But Afghanistan is a place that has allowed me to live and work there for 20 years. That reaction about beauty is important, right? What we do at Turquoise Mountain, we are part of this civil society. Our hadaf, our mission, is to support artisans and cultural heritage, to preserve it, to make sure that it can pass to the next generation. And this is one of the ways that it looks like, which is bringing these pieces around the world. And I think that is about changing perceptions, but also about bringing money back into families. Because obviously civil society cannot thrive if people themselves and their families are not thriving. So this is about jobs. For us, it's also about primary education, primary health, which, as you said, we've seen 250,000 patients in our clinic. But just to go back to the idea of, there we are, perception changing, right? You have met Afghanistan through that carpet. On the upper right is some achek weaving from Myanmar. The lower left is hand-blown glass. It's a anar, a pomegranate, from Mohamed in Palestine. And on the lower right is a backgammon board embroidered by Aisha al-Maktoum from Syria. Here they all are. But this is, I think this is cultural diplomacy, and this is civil society. This is about meeting these places through these individuals, their stories, and the beautiful traditions that they represent. I wanted to touch also on our architecture, and you talked a bit about that here in Qatar and beyond. Our atmosphere, the places we live, matter so much. And when, for example, you are returning after a war, to meet and re-meet our neighbors through the places we live is important. This is our home in the old city of Kabul, right on the banks of the Kabul River. And when we began, it was half collapsed, right? It was 6 feet deep in collapsed buildings. So we employed everyone to just clear it out, 30,000 trucks of this. We restored the buildings. This is before and after. And we restored 150 of these buildings. But the important thing is that this is an institute for training in traditional crafts, and a lot of the other buildings are houses, and they are clinic and schools. This is about people living in historic vernacular architecture. I love traditional architecture, and I think as we build our cities and countries, and as we rebuild after conflict, these traditional buildings are so important. And the last thing is just back to perception changing and the way that we relate across countries. These are stone boxes that we bring to London and around the world with Asprey. This is the Connaught Hotel, which is a wonderful Qatari-owned hotel in the center of Mayfair in London, a 5-star hotel. This suite was made entirely by Afghan, Syrian, and Myanmar artisans. Actually, all artisans living in conflict at the time that they made it. All the woodwork is Syrian, all the carpets are Afghan. You can see Maher here from Damascus making it, Abu Nidal also from Damascus. This is what cultural diplomacy looks like for us, and this is 10,000 artisans across those countries this year. Hopefully, you meeting these places through those pieces and through those traditions. So I think that civil society has an incredible role in making those traditions live and in deciding whether they're going to take it up again, and governments to support those things and to be a little bit sensitive, especially in building quickly and rebuilding, that cultural heritage is sitting at the heart of that.
Thank you very much for this interesting presentation and photos that you have brought us and shared with us. I'll go back to Jordan. I mean, based on what you have said earlier, I would like to know how can the youth help in bringing people together and play the role of culture diplomat to our societies.
Thank you. Just to comment on that beautiful presentation from Shoshana. One of the things we're doing at Forward Thinking is all the time we're dealing with perceptions and trying to challenge the perceptions. Indeed. And we're based in London, but one of the biggest issues I think we're dealing with as an organization is the rise of Islamophobia. So all of these beautiful cultural objects and artisans, they have an enormous challenge in getting through an inherent Islamophobia that is not just in the UK, but rising across Europe.
Indeed.
In France, we have Marie Le Pen's party. In the UK, Reform. in Netherlands, Geert Wilders, in Spain, Vox Party. You can go through the whole list of countries where this anti-Islam, anti-migrant rhetoric is really damaging, and it means that the beauty and humanity that Shoshana just showed in those presentations doesn't get a fair hearing, and it's a constant challenge to try and move past that, some of that that rhetoric and some of that damaging divisive. I suppose it's framed around this idea of Judeo-Christian values versus radical Islam, and all of those organizations that I mentioned all have this common cultural affinity, a civilizational rhetoric which is against the Middle East. And I think the next generation of cultural diplomats, of young people, are actually going to find it really challenging to step outside of this common rhetoric. We see it mobilized and generated in social media, in our political discourse. One of our politicians said recently that multiculturalism is dead in the United Kingdom, and that left a lot of Muslims, Christians, and Jews wondering, well, what do we do now? And it's only through equipping our young people to be able to deal with some of those challenges that I feel that we're going to be able to get through. And the crux of it is you can't make a relationship with someone unless, a genuine relationship, unless it's based on common humanity, common values, and recognizing the other. There's lots of examples, and Rania, you showed the lovely new Egyptian museum, which at some stage I hope you'll take me to. But how we get through some of the how we sort of promote that. The vehicle has to be people like yourselves, but how we can work with Arab organizations, the Arab League, the OIC, to actually promote some of these ideas. Likewise with the Qatari government, to promote the civilizational, the beautiful history in places like Qatar and Egypt. That is going to be a huge challenge. During the Crusades, there was a famous monk called Assisi. It was in the 5th Crusade. It was 1207, and it was in the midst of the religious war. He crossed the boundary into the camp of the Sultan in Egypt at the time, completely unarmed, and he was taken to the Sultan and was able to humanize the other, and actually was given free passage across the Islamic world. And it's lessons from people like St. Francis of Assisi, I think we can learn from today.
Thank you very much indeed. I mean, time is killing, but thanks for the ideas you shared. I see, Senator Rania, you would like to comment, and you have a minute.
1 minute.
Please, because we need to
Shoshana,
get
actually, when you talk about Afghanistan, the stereotype about Afghanistan is related to violence and aggression. So what you showed us today is really a beauty, and I think it will make a lot of difference in the perception of people. Jordan, I agree completely 100% with you about how to promote our heritage, our civilization, and we have to work internationally. And actually, I worked with Jordan before, and I know how much they exert a lot of effort in forward thinking related to the Palestinian crisis and also the Islamophobia. In Belfast, they make a great conference there, and it was so successful. In spite he's not Muslim or not Arab, but they are exerting their effort to coexist peacefully together in a community this is what we're looking forward for. I would like to talk about Kulthum and Naguib Mahfouz as an examples. Whenever you go to France or UK, you can listen to Kulthum. Despite she dies 75 and still she is long-lasting.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
I will get back to you, but we will let one or two of our participants to raise any question or comment, because we really have to finish in a few minutes. So, I mean, I see too many people asking for the floor. Excuse me, we have to limit ourselves.
Can you give the mic to the old people?
We need the mic to pass through, please. In the back, okay, quickly, in 10 seconds, raise your question. Yes. Please raise your hand.
When we look at civil society and the buzzword of people-centered approach, people-centered design program, it came to life maybe 10 years ago, but still, the actual influence and impact has to be top-down to have a real impact. How do you balance the importance of people-centered versus the criticality of top-down?
Okay, thank you very much. In the back. Be ready with the answers because time is we are against the big challenge of time. Natalia is doing a great job everywhere, and she's helping. I mean, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I just have a comment to Shoshana Stewart and to Senator Sedky. You see, you brilliantly mentioned the refugees from Myanmar, Afghanistan, Syria, and Palestine recreating their skills in London. But not a word of regret to what your country and NATO did to decimate culture and people in these countries. For example, cradle of civilization. You know, that has been throughout history, the center. And to Sedky, Senator, your new museum would have been much richer and culturally attractive if you get the looted articles which are displayed in London, Paris, everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In the front, please.
Since I have a microphone and
yes, but
I volunteered. Just a quick point. The topic is cultural diplomacy, and we're speaking about cultural preservation, and what you're doing with Turquoise is amazing. But I think we're speaking to governments here and policymakers. What does it take for us to take culture and communicate it? There needs to be a determined strategy for governments, not just to preserve culture, but to communicate it, and use tourism as a method to bring people in and to engage with the local societies, engage with the local culture, spend the money, but more importantly, when you're immersing with them, to actually learn about the culture and break these stereotypes.
Thank you very much indeed. Dr. Mohamed, in the front, please. Quickly. You have 30 seconds, Dr. Mohamed.
Okay, thank you.
29, 28, 27.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Mohamed Salman, Head of Political Science Department and an expert consultant in Shaf Center. I have 3 quick comments.
No, only one question.
Only one, okay. The first, the only one comment concerning to the what Dr. Mohamed Soufi mentioned about the relationship between Egypt and Ethiopia. It's a very, very crucial issue, and specialized, as you know, in hydropolitics. Hydropolitics means the relationship between water and political issue. We paid a very hard effort to bridge the gap between the Egyptian and Ethiopian, and unfortunately, the issue is politicized. It has a very big politicization issue. It's not a water issue. It's a politicized issue. Thank you.
We got it. The last one, please. Thank you. We have passed by 2 minutes, and there is hard line. I give everyone really 1 minute to give the last say about the comments and questions raised. Dr. Soufi.
شكرا جزيلا مدير الجلسة.
I would like to thank the moderator. First, in order to summarize everything that we have said, cultural diplomacy is based on the cooperation of the elites. And when I say elites, I mean those who I am looking at today in this forum. For example, Music does not have nationality. We are all pleased and amused by music despite our differences, art, poetry. So beauty doesn't have a nationality, doesn't have a background. The margin of beauty must expand, or the scope of beauty must expand in the lives and in the efforts of the elites. This is a humanitarian common point.
My final words here in this session is I'm looking forward for every and single one of you when they go back to their countries and see how the people of the Gulf and the Middle East, they are kind and in the hospitality and the safety of the country, and try to change the perception about the Middle East area as a violent people, a violent area. This would be a great goal to be achieved in this forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you. I think just a quick note. Yesterday, Donald Trump was given a peace prize, not by the Nobel laureate, but by FIFA. I think there is a real risk that if cultural diplomacy isn't taken seriously, I mean, yesterday almost satirized cultural diplomacy. Yeah, and so to the question about top-down, we have to be careful how culture is disseminated, because if it's done wrong, it actually can do more harm than good and reverse something that could be quite positive. So let that be a warning. Second thing on revisionism that Shokat mentioned. We're seeing revisionism all over the world, particularly in Europe and the place of Islam in Europe. Muslims have been in Europe since AD 647. But the far right would like us to believe that they're a new addition. We wouldn't have had the Christian Renaissance in the medieval time when Europeans were in sort of mud huts. The Arab and Islamic civilizations had preserved things like Plato, for example, which helped spur the Christian Renaissance. So let's remember our history, because without it, what sort of cultural diplomacy are we talking about?
Okay. Shoshana, final word, please.
Thank you so much. Wonderful to be together on this panel. My final thought, I suppose, about the top-down question is that the special thing about culture is that it is an asset. It is something that is fundamentally held by and valued. A place, a person, a family, a country. Whereas we often relate to each other with deficiencies, with problems. We're trying to solve problems within each other. So it is fundamentally an asset. That's why it matters. It's why it matters to us and to each other. We as civil society need to get on with it, grow it, love it, and governments need to support it.
We will love it, and we will get the support. Thank you very much indeed for the
We want to
panelists.
say thank you, Dr. Sameh, for
It's no, a
running
pleasure.
this
I
session.
mean, it was very stressful to
Thank you
finish.
so
We exceeded the time by 5 minutes. Please join me in giving applause to the co-panelists. Thank you for your coming and participation. Thank you for everyone.